Spotting the liquidity pool is one thing, trading after it is where the money is made. Once you understand this, every stop hunt becomes a setup and every manipulation becomes your trading opportunity. In this video, I will show you exactly how to trade after a liquidity grab using the smart money method. So guys, let's head to the chart. Alright, after a liquidity sweep, you need to pay attention to smart money POIs and price behavior around your POIs to enable you get a better entry opportunity. So before we do anything on the chart, we need to ensure that our market structure is in place. So first things first, we identify the trend. So as you can clearly see, this is a downward trend, right? Also, we can see that price is in a corrective phase, and then seems like the bearish trend has resumed, but we are not certain, and this is where our market structure comes in. So moving on, let's quickly break down this structure so that we will know if this market has resumed this downward trend, because we had a bullish pullback move here. So we want to be sure that this market is ready to sell before we would start selling, or we should also be able to identify if this market is still in an upward trend, then we continue the bullish move. So it's important to identify a market structure so that we do not identify wrong liquidity zones and wrong entry zones. So moving on, let's quickly break down this structure. So right here, we'll proceed to identify our change of character to signal bearish reversal. So right here we have our inducement here. If you have not watched my video on how to break down your structure, you can check my video on market structure breakdown or top down analysis. I did break down these concepts in details. So right here is our break of structure zone, and since price closed above our break of structure, the major low, right, the lowest point that created the break of structure is our change of character. So right here is our major low and our chalk zone. So you know the drill, right? Having identified our change of character zone, okay, this has signaled that this bullish trend has reversed and we are now in a bearish trend, okay, probably to push back. Remember, this trend is still a bearish trend, okay, so hopefully we're anticipating this price to push lower to break this low, okay. But some traders who are unaware of smart money would still be anticipating this buy and probably planning to hold their trade up onto this high. So SMC market structure is the game changer. Now moving on here, okay, after our change of character, we identify our recent pullback high, which is our first point of liquidity. So guys, if you have watched my video on how to identify liquidity pools in 5 seconds, can you now tell where our first point of liquidity is? Okay, so clearly you can see that this is our recent pullback high in this bearish move. So this is our first point of liquidity right here, okay. And having identified our liquidity, we are actually identifying our entries, okay, and we are not doing major market structure breakdown. But if we are to carry out major market structure breakdown, we needed to have analyzed all of these structures, but I do not want us to take so much time in this video. All right, so having identified our inducement zone, we need to identify our POIs. So we need to identify our valid POI. Remember, we are trying to trade after a liquidity grab. So before you trade after a liquidity grab, you actually need to identify the liquidity zone. So this is our first liquidity zone. Then we need to identify a POI where we are going to position for our entries before we sell. So moving on, where is our POI? We have a valid POI right here with clear imbalance. Always ensure that your POI has clear imbalance, okay. So as you can see here, let me quickly break this down. After our change of character, where is our next point of liquidity? We have a liquidity point here, okay. So inducement was taken, price mitigated a POI somewhere around here, okay, and then push lower. We have a valid break of structure. After a break of structure, where is the next point of liquidity? We have the recent liquidity zone here. Price took out this inducement, mitigated another POI somewhere around here, and then we have a break below this low. So after this break below, where is the next point of liquidity? This is our next point of liquidity. So I just thought I should highlight that. Now moving on, based on the recent zone here on the chart, we are anticipating a sell around this zone. Now the question is, where exactly will you be selling from, and what are you looking out for before you sell after a liquidity grab? So price behavior analysis is very important. A lot of people ignore price behavior analysis, but it's important for you to note that price behavior analysis supersedes your technical analysis and your fundamental analysis. So having identified our POI, I want to ask, okay, is this trade setup correct or not? This trade setup is totally wrong. Now, I intentionally left this like this to show you how some traders have a perfect looking setup like this but end up making wrong trade decision. Quickly, let me break it down. So like I mentioned previously, this is our liquidity point, and then we have this as our break of structure zone, and you know the drill. Having identified this as our major break of structure zone, then this high becomes our major high and our change of character zone. So with this, it simply means that this POI is wrong. Why? Because it is no longer within our bearish structure. First, you need to ask yourself, what is the significance of this zone? This zone signals reversal once price moves beyond this zone. Okay, so if price closes above this zone, it signals that the market is now bullish. So why identify a bearish POI within a bullish zone? So based on this POI is no longer valid. So this is why I say SMC is the game changer. It defines the move of the market and also tells you exactly what is happening in the market, not what you're seeing, because trust me, oftentimes what we see in the market is totally different from what is happening in the market. So the market is dynamic and you need to align yourself with the changing market condition to be able to successfully profit from this industry. Else, the big players will toil with your emotions until you get exhausted. Moving on, where is our liquidity point? Okay, so as you can clearly see, this is also our liquidity point, our major liquidity point, right? And our chalk zone as well. I know that some of you may have encountered price behaviors like this and you are wondering what to do. And oftentimes you get lost at what to do, especially when you lack the proper knowledge on how to navigate this. So let's quickly properly label this zone so that we can pay attention to price behaviors around this zone. So firstly, let me take this off. This is no longer valid. So any POI within beyond your chalk zone is no longer valid. All right. However, price behavior analysis can influence our trade decision, but that is an advanced thing. So right here, this is our chalk zone and also our inducement zone. So it's important to highlight this so that you will pay attention to price behavior around this zone. So what possible price behavior are we anticipating around this zone? So one thing you need to understand is that price behavior interpretation differs for your BOS, for your chalk zone, and as well as your inducement zone. So if price sweeps this zone, then we are anticipating a selling opportunity. And then if price breaks above this zone, then we know that this market wants to continue in the opposite direction. So this is one of the price behaviors we are anticipating around this zone. Like I said previously, price behavior analysis is one skill you need to understand and master effectively to enable you gain flexibility in the market. So let's play price forward to see possible price behavior to either help us decide if we are to buy or sell. So guys, as you can see, this is the price behavior that displayed on this chart and around our POI zone. Okay, so based on this price behavior, this is an indication to sell. And not just the price behavior, we can clearly see a confirmation of this price behavior. This is our extreme zone to validate our selling interest. So we can see that price swept this zone, indicating selling interest, and we have a strong bearish candle indicating more selling pressure in the market. So based on this, we can consider this selling opportunity. And more so, this trend is in a downward trend. So this signal is in alignment with the dominant trend, which is why this signal is also a high probability entry signal. And also considering that it is from our extreme zone, which is our chalk zone. So based on this, we can consider our sell position here. Okay, so where is going to be our stop loss? We're going to set it at a very logical zone just above our sweep high. And because this is our extreme zone, dominant trend is bearish, signal in alignment with the direction of the impulsive move, so we can have a better stop loss right there just above the sweep candle. And then our target, as usual, will be minimum of 1:2. You can target more, okay, but for a day trader you can start with a minimum of 1:2. But if your entry is, at the beginning of the swing, you can target more, especially as a swing trader. Okay, so you just need to understand the principles of how to operate in this industry. It is very vast. So moving on, let's play price forward and see what we've got right there. All right guys, so as you can see here, we hit our profit target on this trade. Okay, so guys, it's very important for you to understand that liquidity, as always, fuels the market. So moving on, we are now going to pay attention to identify our next entry point based on this move. So based on this move, where is our next point of liquidity? Right here, you can clearly see that we have another break right here. So where is our next point of liquidity? Can you identify that in 5 seconds? If your answer is no, then do well to go watch my video on how to spot liquidity pools in 5 seconds. So right here, we have our next point of liquidity right here. Okay, this is our recent high. Moving on, where is our POI? So here we have a smart money POI with clear imbalance right here. Okay, so guys, a lot of people might think that this POI has been mitigated right here. This POI has not been mitigated because this candle is an inside bar. So it is assumed that there is no candlestick here because it is within the low and the high of this candle. It didn't push lower, and this as well is an inside bar, so these candles are not valid. Moving on guys, let me quickly highlight this. So as you can see right here, let me just highlight this. Okay, so right here we have a liquidity structure here, and as you can clearly see, prices mitigate a POI somewhere around here and then push lower to break this low. Okay, so after this break, we identified our liquidity and our POI. This price behavior is an advanced thing, and I won't be talking about it in this video. That's the more reason why you need to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so that you will be notified when I drop a video content on this. So moving on, let's play price forward and see how we can get an entry around this zone or around this zone. Alright guys, so moving on here, as you can see, price took out inducement from here, and there was no signal or price confirmation for us to go short from here. So price pushed up into our POI and gave us a bearish signal and a confirmation. So based on this, we can consider our next selling entry from here, and then our stop loss is going to be above our POI. Okay, always set your stop loss at a logical level. All right, this is a downward trend, and then our minimum target would be 1:2. Okay, except you're swinging, right? So right here we'll be targeting 1:2. And for those who will be asking, Rity, how do you know this is 1:2? So if you look on your screen on this tool, you are going to be seeing risk reward here, and here it is showing 2.07. So what it simply means is that this reward is twice the risk right here. Okay, so this is it, 2.07. so this is telling me that this reward is twice my risk. Okay, I hope that is clear. Let's play price forward and see what we've got. All right guys, so as you can see, price has already smashed our target. Okay, we have our profit target has been smashed right here. And do you notice something? How price usually moves in a direction 80% of the time. Okay, the reason is because we are trading alongside the institutions. We are trading after the liquidity hunts because liquidity fuels the market. So if you understand this approach, trust me, your trading results will never be the same again. Now look at this. You can see this price behavior analysis gave us an entry. And right here we also got almost same price behavior. This is a sweep, but there was no confirmation. Okay, and then we got an entry right here. And remember, we are talking about entries after a liquidity grab. So this is an entry approach based on sweep, and this is also another entry approach based on POI mitigation. So there are price behaviors that will determine when you are to sell from here, and there are price behaviors that will determine when you are to sell from here as well. Also, there are different entry approach from these particular zones. All right, now the chalk entry model is not dominant here. The reason is because this market is in a downward trend. I know for those of you who are already knowledgeable about the market, you will be wondering, Rity, why are we not using the chalk entry model? Because it is a conservative approach. Now the reason is because this market is in a downward trend, but then if there is a chalk entry model signal on the chart, then we can also make do of that. That is why I emphasize on price behavior analysis, because you can have a clear structure and bias of the market, but one single price behavior will change the entire market structure and change your entire trading decision. That is how powerful price behavior is, and it's very important for you to key into that. Okay, so like I said previously, since the trend is bearish, we do not necessarily need a minor change of character. Different price behavior entry, different price behavior entry, and there are several price behaviors you need to master and be informed about. Trust me, once you are well informed about the market, forex trading becomes simple. Let's see if we can get one more entry and then we can call that a wrap. Okay, so moving on here, first thing you need to do is to identify your first point of liquidity. Okay, so where is our first point of liquidity? Right here we have our first point of liquidity here, which is our inducement. Having identified our inducement, where is our POI? Okay, so right here we need to clearly identify our POI. So moving on here, we have our smart money POI. Okay, and then we also have another one right here, and then we also have the extreme here, which is our order block. All right, so you can clearly see that. Okay, so at this point we'll be anticipating, price to push higher. You can see we have a sweep price behavior here, but there is no confirmation. Okay, and all these price behaviors have different way we approach them. So let's play price forward and see how we can get either a confirmation from here to go short, or we wait for price around this zone and then we can continue pushing price lower to this low. Okay, let's play price forward and see what we've got. All right guys, so as you can see, price actually pushed lower, okay, without giving us an entry. All right, I know a lot of people will be wondering why I did not highlight this POI. Okay, so this POI is an inside bar. It is within this low and this high. So once your strategy does not validate itself on the chart, do not force an entry. So for me, this does not align with me, and that is why I did not highlight this week ought to be a POI if this is not an inside bar, but we don't force trade and we follow the plan. Okay, that is going to help you stay profitable in the long term. So we have a break here, okay, without giving us any entry point. So guys, this is where discipline comes into play. You must not catch every move of the market. The market is always here for you to milk. Okay, so always pay attention to your plan and ensure you follow your plan. So at this point, while we're waiting for price at any of these POIs, the price actually moves that also. If we still continue doing this breakdown, it's still the same thing we would be doing. All you need to do is to understand the principles and apply them effectively, and you will see how your trading results will improve. So when next price grabs liquidity, pay attention to price behavior and also pay attention to your POI zones to look out for entry points. And very importantly, when you identify your POIs, make sure they are smart money POIs with clear imbalance. So this is all that we have done. We've been able to highlight our liquidity pools and how to trade after our liquidity pools. Okay, so this is how you convert your liquidity pools into profitable trade setups. You just learned how to turn a liquidity grab from a trap into a trading opportunity, and how to position yourself exactly where smart money moves. And guys, that's also the difference between retail trading and smart trading. If you're ready to stop trading blindly and start trading like the institutions, join my SMC mentorship or become part of my community of smart traders and learn how to trade like the ones who actually move the market. If you found this video valuable, drop a comment below, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications so you never miss another smart money lesson.